So recently, thanks to 2K Games and Visual Concepts, I was able to play WWE 2K22 for a limited amount of time. So in this video, I got for you guys my initial thoughts, my first impression of me playing WWE 2K22. There's a timestamp in the description if you guys want to jump to anything specific, but I will be extremely detailed and honest on everything that I was able to try. So I do suggest you guys stick all the way through. Of course, for more WWE 2K22 here in the channel, make sure to subscribe if you're new and have those notifications turned on. So first off, a couple of things to keep in mind. I was only able to try the game for a very limited amount of time, and I was only able to try exhibition matches and MyGM. So this first impression that I'm doing is not the full review of the game, as I still need to check my faction, the online creation, the 2K showcase, my rise, and a couple of extra things. So expect that full review video to be out on the week that the game launches. Now let's get into it, and I want to begin with two quick questions. Is WWE 2K22 better than 2K20? That's an easy one. The answer is yes, because unfortunately we know how WWE 2K20 turned out to be. Is it better than WWE 2K19? I want to say yes, but as I said, there's a lot of things that I haven't tried yet, and my answer is going to be based on how this game launches. We have to see how good online is going to be, and most importantly, we need to see if community creation is going to work right away, because we don't need another WWE 2K20 disaster. So for the second answer on that, again, look forward to that review. First thing you get to do when logging into the game is playing the tutorial. I thought that the tutorial was excellent. You have Drew Gulak with some awesome remarks, and you get to complete this tutorial fairly quickly, or you could take your time with it and continue to practice. I ended up doing a lot of that just because, of course, I wanted to master the controls. My thoughts on it, for the most part, is a good change. It does have that SmackDown versus Raw feel to it, with of course a couple of changes because there are some new things being introduced in this year's game. Two of those big things are combos, which you are gonna have to take some practice, and you're gonna have to practice those timings in order to learn these type of combos that the superstar you're playing with has. But I managed to get it down after a couple of matches of playing. The one big problem that I have when it comes to controls is the new breaker system. Even during the tutorial, this actually took a couple of minutes to get done because it is very RNG. So once you lock in a grapple, you have to guess if the opponent is going light or heavy, and sometimes this took me a while to get done because really it feels like you just need to get lucky with it. That RNG in it kind of threw me off, and instead I just decided to focus on the reversals and the blocking. So again, besides me not liking the breaker mechanic, everything else for the controls felt like a welcome addition and something that we could master after playing a couple of amount of matches. After the tutorial, I ended up playing a couple of exhibition matches. There were no matches removed from WWE 2K20, but at the same time, in this build that I was playing, there were no new match types. I discussed all of that in a previous video and the full list of it, so check it out if you need a refresher. I don't necessarily think that there will be new match types in the final build, because otherwise I feel like it would have been here. I guess the one match types that did get a big change is the Backstage brawl, because there is a brand new Backstage arena. There's no longer one hallway that you gotta go through to get to these certain locations like the parking lot and so on. Now instead it feels like everything is just connected in one giant Backstage area. First thing I saw it off when I saw it was SmackDown Here Comes the Pain. I managed to do a couple of ONG moments and some crazy dives. I don't think I was able to do all of them, but there is a good amount of interactive things in it. There isn't any new custom match options that I got to see, but it is really cool that there's an option in which you can make most of the regular size arenas have crowd boards. So basically the pay-per-view that ended up happening during the Thunderdome era, you have the option to make it be in the Thunderdome by putting the virtual audience in there, or you could just have it with the regular audience. Into the gameplay, as many of you guys have seen already, this year's game does play a bit faster, and in my opinion, the new camera angles are a welcome addition. I was a little bit concerned about some of the close-ups, but honestly, by the end of the first match, or I should say by the end of the tutorial, I didn't have anything to worry about. It is true that going from one animation to the next does feel smoother, and you could even see it played out. You could be chasing an opponent, and if he turns around and you decide to press a button then at the very last second, the connective animation will still look good and it will feel natural. If there is something to take away, is that they definitely touched on the gameplay. Seems like they spent a lot of time on it to make it smoother from one transition to the next, one animation to the next, and to keep the flow of the match going. Two gameplay issues that stood out to me right away, again on the limited amount of time that I was able to play the game. First one was the obvious one, the pinfall was too slow, but the devs did indicate that this will be updated upon the release of the game, so it will be faster. And the other thing is one that you might have noticed already from the gameplay, and that is in regards to the grappling. So using the Irish whip as an example, before it used to be just one button, but now there is, I guess, a bit of a pause where you need to grapple somebody and then you press the button to Irish whip them. So it's sort of like a two-step process instead of it being one. And if you are really paying attention to it, you do notice that transition not being as smooth as pretty much all the other ones, as your superstars grapple, kind of ungrapple, and then goes for the Irish whip or the other grapple that you're trying to do. So again, you could notice that that was a bit of an issue that I had, but I think by the end of it, it wasn't even bothering me and I was hardly noticing it because I was already really learning these grapples and how to do them, that I was already doing it quick on the controller. And because some of these animations are so quick, still felt smooth doing an Irish whip like in the older games. Just now it's even quicker. So even if you see a bit of a stop, because of just how quick everything is, you don't really notice it. Whenever I get my hands on it and I'm able to record it, we'll definitely break it down even more. Some extra things in regards to exhibition: I tried an 8-women's matchup. It also ran smooth. I also tried a Royal Rumble. Of course, got eliminated by Roman Reigns. I was really close to winning it too. Point is, I let it play out all the way through and it was smooth all the way. Got to see some extra animations added to it. And something I noticed a lot is that the AI definitely love to go to the top rope. So you're probably going to be seeing a lot of high flyer superstars actually do some high flying moves in the Royal Rumble. It feels like there's a lot more going on and the AI is definitely smarter. They do respond way better. It goes without saying that at least the hit detection is way better this time around. Of course, we don't know how that's going to play out on online. We're going to have to wait and see. The last thing I got to try was MyGM mode, and there is a lot to talk about here. There's a great tutorial that teaches you how to play. Make sure to read it. It is a lot of information because of course it is a brand new mode and there is a lot of brand new features in it, and there's a lot of logistic on how exactly it works. That might sound a bit intimidating, but it's not. Soon I would definitely have a full walkthrough of it. Some key points here: I ended up playing against the AI. The goal is to get to WrestleMania, have the best show and win so that you can start the process all over again. Obviously, when doing the draft with a friend, it's more exciting when doing it against the AI. I really like the power-ups that they have and the commissioner's goal. It is very rewarding to be able to get something free heading into the next week. It gives you an advantage against the opponent and you really feel that. For example, if you don't gotta pay to book an arena, you're already saving a lot of money, which you could ultimately use to do the big matches, the tables, the ladder, the Extreme Rules matches, and so on. There's obviously still a lot that I need to learn, and I did enjoy the limited time that I have with it, but there is a couple of problems, a couple of things missing from it that I was a bit surprised. For example, you're only able to have 2 championships per show, and those are the main singles titles, one for the men's and one for the women's. You're also not able to have your own custom championship or your custom arena. The developers did indicate that this is something that they are hoping to improve in future titles. You are also limited to the match types that you are able to do, and based on what I got to play, you're not able to book a Royal Rumble, which does feel confusing because GN mode ends at WrestleMania, so you're gonna have a road to WrestleMania without a Royal Rumble winner, because that doesn't seem to be a thing. I was also hoping that at least on WrestleMania you could do more than 5 matches just to utilize more of the roster, since that is going to be the big last show. So that was my experience playing WWE 2K22 for a limited amount of time and only having access to Exhibition and MyGM mode. I gave you guys my honest opinions on it, the positives and the negatives, and we will be talking a lot more of that in that official review that I get to do after getting my hands on the game for longer. So of course, stay tuned for that. Overall, based on what I try, and if I had to give you guys a 10-second answer on the best best part and the worst part? Well, the best part was definitely the gameplay. You can see the improvement and it was fun to play. While the biggest letdown will have to be the lack of new and returning match types. Once again guys, thank you for watching, stay savage, and I'll catch you on the next one.